my friends. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's time for another Tuesday Tip Masterclass. We have been focusing during October 2022 on easel cards. Well, I'm going to end with a bang today. So we're finishing up our series on easel cards with, are you ready? A tealight easel card. Now, what I love about these cards is it's more than a card. It's its own little gift because hidden underneath your easel is a really great battery-operated tealight, which creates a wonderful glow. So if you're looking to brighten up your holidays, today's card is for you. So let's go get started. Guys, you're just going to love this card. So you can see we have a little vellum window in our card. It is an easel card, but what makes it so nice is we have this little opening here, and you want to know what fits in perfect? A battery-operated tea light. And so now we have a little winter Christmas theme going on here. I've got another one that said sending healing thoughts, and I thought this would be nice. You know, if you've got somebody maybe in a hospital, of course, battery operated tea light, it would be perfectly safe to have. Fun little card. I'm excited to teach you. We got lots of steps, so stick with me. We are going to create the Christmas card, so let me share the supplies that you need to create it. We're going to be using basic white thick cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I have that scored at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. You're going to need another piece of basic white thick, and this one is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You're going to need 2 pieces of balmy blue, and these are 2 different sizes. I've got a 3 3/4 by 5 and a 4 by 5 1/4. So you're going to see one is going to be a little bit smaller than the other. You're also going to need some vellum cardstock. This is cut 3 3/4 by 5 inches. The last thing you're going to need is actually just a piece of copy paper, junk mail, whatever you want to use. This is going to be a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And the last thing, how about we add a little baker's twine bow just there in some basic white. Really not a ton of supplies, but we've got a lot of steps. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're actually going to begin with that copy paper because we're going to create a template. Now, what's great, once we create this once, we'll have it forever and ever. You're going to need the stitched rectangle dies in order to create this card. So what I want to do is I want to start with the third from the largest, okay? So we're going to go down to that third largest rectangle die. And what I want to do is I want to get this centered up as perfect as possible in the copy paper, all right? I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine, and when I do, it's going to look like this. So this is just, like I said, this is just my template. Now, I want to share with you something that I did. On the front of this, I wrote top score. All right, that's the top score line. I did that for a reason because I've got to make sure everything lines up right. So I want to make sure everything I do up at the top is all the same. I think it'll make more sense here when we get started. But that is going to be our template. Now we're going to start with the 4 1/4 by 11 inch. Remember, this is the one that had the 2 score lines on it. And this is where I said that top score little notation is going to come in handy, because I want that at the top score line, right? Because that's the top of my card. I do want to keep this card open as I work, and we're going to die cut again. You're going to need base plate 1 and 2, and then a cutting plate 3. So what I'm going to do, my friends, is we are going to take that template and that cardstock. It's the exact same size, so I know it can just sit right there. I'm going to take that exact same die, and it's just going to sit right on top of that template. I mean, pretty easy to do. I can lay my next cutting plate on. I'm going to run that through my machine. So I'm actually cutting through the cardstock and my template. But don't worry, it lined up perfectly because those stitches, it kind of grabs on so that you know you're right where you need to be. So let me show you what happens when we cut through that. Voila, there is the center of my card, okay? We're going to set that off to the side. And you can see my template is just right. There's going to be where our easel's going to come in. And now, my friends, we are going to repeat that with that same template, and we're going to put it on the remaining piece of the basic white thick. That was 4¼ by 5½. Now there's my top score line. Of course, this one doesn't have a score, but I do want to kind of pay attention to what is the top. All right, I don't want to lose track of what is the top of my project. And the reason I do that is if I didn't get this perfectly straight, if I had swapped this, I might have had a problem putting this together. And so now we're going to take that last one and I'm going to repeat that exact same thing. Again, the die will just kind of sit right inside those notches. And now we'll run this one through our die cutting machine. And we have another rectangle die and another really great template. Now remember, I said I wanted to pay attention to what was the top. So what I want to do now, I'm just going to make a little tick mark, nothing big, just a little one. Don't worry, we'll be hiding that. But that way I can definitely see and remember what is the top. So I'm going to set my template off to the side because I'm done with that for just a little bit. Now what we want to do is we're going to create our actual window and our vellum. So I'll tell you what, I think we're going to start with our window. I am working with the most perfect bundle for this type of card. We're going to use the Snow Magic bundle. It's a fabulous little stamp set. I've got my sentiment. I've got some little stars I'm going to use from the stamp set. But this is the one that wowed me. This is the die that just made me go, this is going to be an amazing card because as you can see, we've got these little built-in snowflakes on top of the snowflake vellum. Great, right? So we're going to be using this die here. We're going to take the smaller piece of the balmy blue. This was the 3¾ by 5. And we want to die cut. Again, we want to center that up in that balmy blue. Let's die cut this fabulous little outline that we're going to have for our card. When we remove this, look at that fabulous little die that we have, and it's all ready to go. So to create that fabulous kind of vellum window, we're going to be using some embossing folders. This is the Wintry 3D embossing folders, and you can see we have a snowflake and we have a pine needle, obviously, for our snow card. We're going to use the snowflakes. But I want to show something to you that when I put my vellum cardstock inside there, yeah, my folder's a little too small. Guess what? That's not going to be a problem because when we come and add the die cut, it's going to hide those edges. So we are going to take this piece of vellum cardstock and we're going to run this through our die cutting machine. But I need to let you know it uses a little bit of a different sandwich. To work with those 3D folders, you're going to need your base plate 1 and your embossing folder or your embossing plate number 4. So we're going to lay this and we're going to sandwich it in between 1 and 4, run that through the machine. And look at what you get. Oh my goodness. See, do you see how the vellum, as it bent, it turned bright white? It's gorgeous. I love this. Now, as I said, our little frame is going to go right over that. So you're not even going to see those edges at all. So I'm going to flip this over so that I can add my adhesive here so I can adhere this down. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a silicone mat because I'm a little messy with glue. Surely I'm not the only one who struggles with that. So we're just going to get a little adhesive here. I am using the multi-purpose glue. I just feel like it works a little bit better on this project. So there's my adhesive. Of course, that's the back. So I want to make sure I'm putting my vellum on so that the front is on the front. So we're going to lay that down right there. The other reason I like using that glue is I do have the ability to kind of slide that around. Lots of measurements today, but not to worry if you missed any of them. I've got a free download for you with the measurements, the supply list, a link back to this video. So if you need to watch it again, you'll have that. And a supply list. It's all there waiting for you. You'll find it at simplysimplestamping.com, or you can just go down to the YouTube description, scroll down. You're going to see a direct link to my post for today. Look for the blue button on the download, click it. You can download everything that you need that goes along with today's card. All right, now that we've got everything die cut, are you ready to put this card together? Let's go. We're now going to add this to our frame. Do you remember this is the 4¼ by 5½? And there's that dot, all right? Remember we did that on the front. I'm actually going to flip this over because I'm going to adhere this down on the, what I'm going to call the ugly side. All right, this is the underside of the die cut. Now, when I add my adhesive here, I actually want to go ahead and stay really close to the stitched area. And just a reminder, this is the back side, all right? So we've got our little dot there on the front. How we adhere this top, bottom, it's all going to be the same. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to lay this on here, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm kind of catching the edge of that inside frame. So I want to be able to slide this around. Again, you guys know it's one of the things I do love about working with the multi-purpose glue is I want that to be able to fit inside there without any of that white frame showing through. Do you see what we did? Super easy. Okay, there's my dot, right? There's our little dot. Remember, that means that's the top. So now we're going to bring in our actual card, and there's my dot. No one's really going to see it. It's going to be there on the back, but now I can be assured that when I adhere this down, it's going to be identical with the frame that's underneath. That is exactly the reason why we wanted to create that template, because we are certain that it is going to fit just right. When we adhere this though, can you see we only want adhesive on this area? That is the only place we want adhesive. So we are going to go ahead and bring in our multi-purpose glue. Now for this one, I actually want to get glue on both sides, because remember, this piece of cardstock is the exact same size as what I'm working with here. So lots of glue right there. There's my dot. I know I'm good. I'm going to add that to the front of my card. And guys, the beginning of my easel card is right there. Going great, right? Okay, well now we're going to decorate it. Now we want to make it look awesome. We've got the base done. Now, because it's an easel card, we have to give it something to prop up on, and we're going to do that with a sentiment. Now, for my sentiment, I'm saying sending cool Christmas wishes. But remember, we had two pieces of white cardstock that when we die cut, we have these left over. Now, this one is a great one because it's ready for another card that I want to use in the future. So I'm going to set that one off to the side. This one, well, it had that fold in the middle, remember? So rather than getting rid of this, let's use it, okay? So we're going to bring in those stitched rectangles, and we're going to bring in the rectangle. Again, it's the third from the largest there, and you're going to see it's going to be exactly the same size as this die cut, right? Somewhere in here, you're just going to line up those notches, just get them kind of lined up. We're going to die cut ourselves a great little label. And look at that. We used up some scrap to create our sentiment. So to do that, we're going to say our sending wishes for a cool Christmas. We're going to stamp that in some Night of Navy ink right there in the middle of our die. Now we've got one last little bit of stamping, and that is on that last piece of balmy blue. In this stamp set, we've got these great little stars. Another little trick of mine, I'm going to turn that die upside down just because I don't want to accidentally stamp on it, even though I don't think I will. It's just kind of that backup plan, right? You can see I've kind of centered this up on these three sides, and I'm going to take these stars and I'm just going to stamp them right here on either side of my sentiment. It's time to go ahead and add this to the inside of my card. Just a regular adhesive. I've got my multi-purpose glue here, and since we've been using it, we will just do that again right here inside our card. The next thing we need to do is we need to create that easel, and we're going to do that with Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to add 4 dimensionals to the middle of that sentiment. I've peeled off the backings, and then this can sit right inside. That's going to create the easel. I'm going to add one more thing. Remember, we had that little linen, or not the linen bow, I'm sorry, that would be a baker's twine bow. I'm going to use a mini Stampin' Dimensional. I'm going to roll that into a little tiny ball, and I'm going to add that right up here, the top of my card right there. I'm going to add that, the center of the bow, to that mini glue dot. So now we've got a little fun decoration here on the front. Here's where you can write your message. Plenty of room to write your message. There's the easel part. And listen, you can send it just like this, but of course, we love adding that battery operated tea light. And I know on video it doesn't show up very well, but let me tell you, in the dark, it is gorgeous. This is going to be a totally mantle worthy card because you're giving a little bit more than a card, right? You're giving a little piece of art, a little Christmas art, and something a little extra special with that tea light. Now, I want to go ahead and show another card to you. And it was created in just the same way. This one says sending healing thoughts. You know, I thought when you've got somebody who's maybe in the hospital or recovering, they can't have candles, but they can have battery operated tea lights. And I thought this one would really brighten up someone's day. I do want to point out a couple things that I did on this card. So, you know, on this one, on our Christmas one, we used a full sheet here, or a quarter sheet, I should say, of our balmy blue. For this one, what I ended up doing is I used the piece that was cut here and I used it as a background here. So I was able to use that inside piece and then just created my little easel with a piece of vellum. I did use a different embossing folder on this one. I used the time-worn type, added some linen thread, and of course this one, because I didn't have I had to use two rectangle dies. You know, this one, it cut out and did everything for me. So this one, let me show you the dies that you're going to need for that. And it's very easy. We are going to use the largest die and the third from the largest die. If I can get it off of my magnet sheet, there we go. So it's going to layer like this, and that's what's going to create our nice little outline. I did use another die here on this one. And for this card, I used the Nature's Harvest bundle. So my sentiment came here from the stamp set. And then look at this fabulous die. Now in your free download, I've got all the measurements that you're going to need for this card as well. But I just die cut that. I adhered that to my vellum. Kind of pretty much did everything exactly the same that I just taught. I just wanted to share with you how I did things just a little bit different on my Get Well card. So let me go ahead and bring both these in. So whether you're ready for the holidays or you've got someone that needs some healing hugs, you know what? Adding a nice little battery operated tea light. Can I emphasize battery operated? Please let me emphasize that. Do not use a regular tea light with flame. That would be bad. So there are those wonderful easel cards. So much fun. And by the way, let me just say, even if you wanted to skip the vellum, this is still just a great easel card as is. All right. You could just go and stamp on this just like you would with your favorite card. It's just another version of the easel card, but let's face it, that little tea light really does make it a little extra special and definitely mantle worthy. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here. If you liked the video, you liked that tea light easel card, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. I always love that. And if you have not subscribed, click that red subscribe button so YouTube can let you know whenever I'm back with a new video. See you all next time. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.